So once again, recapitulating what I said before is that slang has a prominent influence on the standard language insofar as slang words at times are ameliorated and become the standard word, slang terms. A very prominent example is the German Kopf, which is the Latin Kuppa, a bowl, which is what the Germans smashed when they fought the Romans, for example. And then we said that sometimes there are words which have the same meaning, more or less, competing with one another, and so that at least one word changes its meaning, being narrowed, being broadened, ameliorated, making worse or shifting, whatever. And this is what I would like to come back to now. Here we go. If my device is working. Here we go. So look at those two. Heaven and sky. Two words, similar meaning. But what we see today is that heaven is more and more applied to the religious concept. Heaven, where God resides, where we all want to go after our death, and sky, the more general term, astronomical term. So the sky is above us in a more natural way. Again, how did this come about? And that those two words probably meant something else or something more or less is to be expected. Let's go there. Heaven. In the Christian tradition, this is the OED, and hence more widely the abode of God. This is what we have today, more or less. Of the angels and persons who enjoy God's presence, traditionally regarded as being beyond the sky, the final abode of the redeemed after their life on earth, a state or condition of being or living with God after death, everlasting life opposed to hell. This is, of course, a meaning which it did not have when the word was originally included into Old English. The etymology of heaven is the Old English Heophon, West Saxon or Haven in Northumbrian. The Christian meaning today is a specialization, because in Old English times, when it was the only word, in Old English times before the Scandinavians came, it was applied to the general thing, heaven, everything that's above us. Okay, so we have Middle Earth, and then we have heaven above us. So yes, this word with its Christian meaning underwent a specialization. And how did that come about? We come to that after having talked about sky. Sky is the region of the atmosphere and outer space seen from the Earth, in which the sun, moon, stars and clouds and all the heavenly bodies where they move, regarded as having the appearance of a vast vault or canopy. Canopy, interesting word. I've been using another word for. Okay. The etymology of sky, I've said this already, is Scandinavian, Viking, sky, originally meaning cloud. Cloud. Okay, not heaven. So the modern meaning may be interpreted as a generalization. So heaven, in a way, is narrowing, becoming more and more the Christian abode of God. And sky has been, there's a process which has been completed, I think, from a cloud to the general heavens. Of course, we should see that, no, just being facetious here, but there's probably not much of a difference in England between clouds and sky. Well, it's the same thing. There are always clouds in the heavens. And so is that the explanation why sky was generalized to meaning, from cloud to meaning sky, what we have today? Could be. But I would like to go this time through literature concerning heaven. And I think at times we should do this as well, that cultural formations or cultural products, particular literature, influences meanings of words by giving a word a special meaning, which then, in a way, is generally adopted. And the Lord's Prayer, the most prominent prayer in all of Christendom, of course it is. And here it is, the Old English version of, or one Old English version of the Lord's Prayer. Fader yrde thu the art on heofonum, Thithin hanama gehalgot, to be kumeth in reach gewurthet in willa on earthan swaswan heofonum. Urne godegwam likan, well, how I pronounce that, plaf sulas tedeg, and forgive us ure yiltas, swaswa we for yivath urem yiltendum, and the geledas thu us on kostunge ac alus us of evile soflitcher. Oh, however you pronounce that. We have to pronounce it. We should be able to read it. Father ours, our Father, who you are in heaven. And they use heaven, okay? Not sky. So the Lord's Prayer uses heaven. Our Father, you are in heaven. Yeah. Be thy name made holy, and thy kingdom shall come, and thy will shall be, in a way, adhered to on earth as well as in heaven. And there it is again. Yeah, so it uses heaven twice, and referring, of course, to the abode of God. And then he goes on, you know the prayer, of course. Our daily bread give us today. Hlaf is our modern word. Loaf for bread. Forgive us our guilt, as also we forgive those that are in guilt, as far as we are concerned, and don't lead us to temptation, but yes, deliver us of evil, truly. Something like this. Erlös, we still have this in German, erlösen. Okay, that's the Lord's Prayer. The important thing here is it uses heophon, for this Christian concept. In Middle English, that's a lot easier. Our Father, Ura Fadir, that art in heavenes, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come to, be thy will done in earth as in heaven. Give us this day our bread, our other substance, and forgive us our debts as we forgiven to our debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Something like this, but still, I mean, twice used heaven. And by the way, if you compare these two, you can see very well here, no French word. Okay, it's Old English, so the Normans have not arrived yet. And here you have at least 5 French words. Substance, debt is a French word, debtors is a French word, temptation is, deliver is, okay, and so on. So you already see, this Middle English already has a Norman influence. Important thing is, it still uses the Old English heaven. Right, and this is the King James's Bible, who we are, of course, the predominant version today, which is reiterated in church ad nauseam. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. So, the same distinction between earth and heaven, but heaven here, the abode of God. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Okay, and here even more French words. Debts. We have this debtors, then you have temptation, you have deliver. You have power, you have glory. All these are words which derive from, or which came into English from Norman French, ultimately, most of them, of course, going back to some Latin concept. Okay, so here we are. In the Lord's Prayer, which people use in church all day, there's probably hardly any service which does not reiterate the Lord's Prayer. Heaven is the abode of God. And I would like to be very bold here and say this is probably the reason why heaven is more or less applied these days to heaven in this Christian way, as the place where God lives and where we would like to reside after our death. Could be. Is it the Lord's Prayer? I think it is. So, again, this sky heaven thing, twofold change of meaning. One is sky, which originally meant cloud, broadened, generalized to the sky, which is above us, from cloud to sky. Is the English weather responsible for that? We may guess. And the heaven, the Old English heaven, the native word, narrowed more or less to what we have today in a Christian context. And this may be due to the Lord's Prayer.